Over the years for the Detroit Lions, their kryptonite used to be going to play the Packers at Lambeau Field. However, though, after the most recent victory against the Packers, I think we can now start to say that has quite frankly changed. We're going to talk about it, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. My friends, I understand that, we already played the Packers. That game's over with. We're now getting ready to play the Texans. I get that. I understand that. So I also know that people are going to say, well, if you understand that, David, why then are you still talking about the Packers? Well, there's 2 reasons for that. The first reason is, as I said in a previous episode, there was quite literally a ton of various ideas that I had when it came to this game that we just had against the Packers. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be one of those individuals that just pushes content out just ridiculously for one particular day. I might push out 2, maybe 3 max if I'm going to do that, but I'm not going to be one of those guys that pushes out 4, 5, 6 episodes in a day. That's ridiculous. It's oversaturating. It's too much. And then when you factor in, hey, we just had the Zadarius Smith trade and everything else, it was like I had to prioritize what needed to be talked about because there was stuff that was actually going on in the current moment, whereas, okay, this is something that happened a couple of days ago. We need to prioritize stuff here. So now we've come to this point where the Zadarius Smith trade has happened. We still are talking about it, but it's not as much of a priority that I have to talk about that right now. I can now choose to talk about something else that I've been holding on the back burner. So, for this particular episode, when it came to the Packers and the game that we just played against them on, Sunday at Lambeau Field, I thought of something when we finally got to the end of that game and we had won. I know for Packers fans, they're not going to like this episode. I know it for a fact, and they're instantaneously going to want to say something back. They're going to want to clap back, whatever you want to say, because they're not going to like this. But for us Lions fans, there is a part of this we're not going to like. And it's the actual truth and the history of how I should say Lambeau Field used to be the Detroit Lions' kryptonite. I mean, let's just call for what it is, folks. For the longest time, us Lions could not beat the Packers at Lambeau. I mean, if we want to be as truthfully, painfully honest as possible, it was almost as close to a guarantee that if and when the Lions went to Lambeau to play the Packers on their home turf, we were going to lose. I mean, it was almost that damn freaking much of a guarantee. To put it in perspective here, from 1992 to 2021, so the very first year of the Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes era, the Lions had a record at Lambeau of 3-27. That is god-awful horrible. Yeah, needless to say, not only was Lambeau Field a freaking kryptonite for us, it was a frozen hell to us. I mean, whenever we go out and play at Lambeau, there was virtually no chance for the longest time we were going to win at Lambeau. I remember so many times when we would go out to play the Packers on their home turf, it was constantly brought up by the freaking announcers of, oh, the Lions have not won at Lambeau in XYZ time, or their record over XYZ time has been this. It was all anybody would talk about when we go and play them at Lambeau because we just didn't ever win there. Now, that's where I'm going to center into this part of this episode. There's a reason why I said until 2021. Because since 2022, so 2022, 2023, 2024, this year, the Lions have won 3 straight times at Lambeau. And we have to understand something, just how rare that is. In fact, you want to know how rare it is? The last time that the Detroit Lions won 3 straight years in a row at Lambeau Field was in 1986 to 1988. I wasn't even born, folks. I wasn't even a freaking thought or a twinkle in my daddy's eye. 1986, 1988, like, dude, that's well before my time. And then to put it even into further perspective, not only have we beaten the Packers at Lambeau for 3 straight years for the first time since the mid to late 80s, every single victory that we've had at Lambeau over the last 3 years has come during a very crucial, very important game. Let's go back to 2022's victory. That victory at Lambeau Field was to pretty much spoil the Packers getting into the playoffs and to absolutely, cap Rodgers' career as a Packer on a major sour note, which, thank you, Kirby Joseph, we did. The second time we won at Lambeau Field was in 2023. That was a primetime game where we absolutely spanked the Packers. And then obviously the game that we just won here in this year, this was a game for where it was a battle for the control of the NFC North in a very tightly contested NFC North thus far. I mean, when you think about it, the Lions, Packers, and Vikings, up until that game we played against the Packers, it was a very tight race. Now the Lions have given themselves a little bit of breathing room, but still, it's a tight race. There's still a whole half of a season left to play. But still, a very crucial, very big game because it's also only the Lions' second division game of the year. So yeah, major game. All 3 of the games that we've won at Lambeau against the Packers over the last 3 years, major games, major victories. Now, again, I know Packers fans are not going to like hearing this because the first thing they're going to say is, oh, well, it's just 3 years. That's nothing. You guys don't have a right to brag. You guys don't have a right to talk smack. In fact, I'll tell you this right now. In my previous episode where I talked about Packers fans being stupid or Packers being stupid because, hey, you guys wanted to talk smack about us before the game against the Packers. Oh, and then after you lost, another player of yours decided to talk smack? Okay. I got some Packers fans that weren't too particularly pleased about that, and they decided to say that I was being disrespectful, that I was being snobbish, that I was being, whatever, letting success go to my head as a Lions fan. But it's like, okay, here, folks, let's back this up for a moment. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lions fans, but how many freaking years have we had to suffer at the sheer snobbish arrogance of Packers fans just because, oh, we're the best team in the NFC North? And every single freaking time, they've always freaking been like, oh, let's take a look at the record. Let's take a look at our Super Bowl trophies. And it's like, dude, nobody freaking cares about that crap except you guys. You can talk about your Super Bowl trophies. You can talk about your division championships all you want. I don't talk about the Lions division championships. You want to know why? Here's the reason why. It was last year. It was, back in the 1990s. Yeah, we have division championships, but you know what? The only thing that currently matters is what are you doing right now? And currently right now, let's see. The Lions are in the lead. We've already beaten the Packers at home this year, just like we have for the last 2 years running to make it now 3 years in a row. So again, I don't give a damn what Packers fans want to say. You are part of the reason as to why Lions fans have no problem being the way they are right now because you guys are the reason why we were here. Think about it, Packers fans. Just to turn the mirror back on you, if you guys had been humble yourselves for, the freaking 20-some plus years that you dominated the damn NFC North, gee, I wonder why then, if you guys have been humble, maybe the rest of the fans of the NFC North teams like the Bears, Vikings, Lions might not be so quick to just absolutely give you guys a freaking ass ripping every time we freaking get the one over on you. Especially as I'm talking about here with the Lions getting 3 straight in a row. Oh yeah, we sure as hell are going to make sure you hear us. So yeah, you guys are the masters of your own fate here, whether you like to hear that or not. But anyway, that was a little tangent there. Let's get back to this conversation. Now, what I find funny about the fact of the Lions having beaten the Packers, not only this year, but the last 3 years running at Lambeau, is that if we go even a step further here, the Lions have actually beaten the Packers 5 out of the last 6 contests as well. Think about it, folks. We beat them all but one time last year because we didn't beat them on Thanksgiving. We lost that game. But every other single game since 2022, we've beaten them. That's rather interesting. And in fact, if we go back to 2021, we beat them at our place to end the year. So if we really want to get technical about this, the Lions have been doing rather damn well against said Packers ever since Dan Campbell has gotten here. Freaking Dan Campbell only has 2 losses against the Packers since he became the damn head coach. That's rather impressive now, wouldn't you say? But here's what I can say. The last time that the Detroit Lions had a period of time where they went, like 5 out of 6, 6 out of 7, whatever the thunder you want to call it, the last time the Lions had done that, since, the current moment we're at right now, was going back to, again, the 1980s. The last time that something like this happened where the Lions had quite frankly dominated the Packers with multiple wins versus only 1 loss was from 1980 to 1983 when the Lions had a 7-1 record against the Packers over those years. So we're talking about 1980, 1981, 82, 83. That's a long period of time for when the Lions have had the ability to say, okay, yeah, we've gotten it over on you multiple times. So not only have the Lions had a ability to get multiple wins over multiple years to establish a very strong record in the previous, last 3 or 4 years, but as I said, which was the main point of this whole episode, the Lions have gone into Lambeau 3 straight years and have beaten the Packers 3 straight years. And, might I also add, under 3 different sets of circumstances, as far as weather is concerned. The first time we beat the Packers, that's right, that was a cold and snowy game, if I recall correctly. Not as much snow, but a hell of a lot of cold when we beat the Packers to keep them out of the playoffs. The second time we beat the Packers at Lambeau, that was a normal game. Wasn't exactly cold, wasn't exactly, hot, but hey, it was a normal game. Might have been a little bit of rain, but nothing too serious. And then this most recent game was freaking about as miserable as you could possibly get. It was a little bit cold, a little bit chilly, tons of wind, tons of rain, just an absolute messy slop fest. All 3 times the Lions won. So not only have we proven that we can play outdoors and win outdoors, but we can win outdoors under various sets of circumstances and bad weather. Whether it's extremely cold, whether it's wet and cold, doesn't matter. We can do it. So think about it, folks. The whole point I'm trying to get at here is that the Lions have shown that, hey, the Packers no longer have it up on us anymore. The Packers no longer can just claim rights to dominate the Lions, whether it's at Lambeau Field or, hey, you know what, coming into Ford Field and doing it. That's why this episode is going to irritate and, quite frankly, piss off Packers fans, because I'm going to tell you this right now. The way I look at it is the Lions now have a home away from home at Lambeau Field. When you're able to win at a place that, quite frankly, you used to lose every single time, but now over the last 3 years you've won there, you've won straight, and on top of that, over the last, 4 years that Dan Campbell has been in charge, you've literally only lost the Packers now twice. Think about it, folks. I would say that at that point, the Lions now have the one over on the Packers rather than the other way around. And to further kind of add more salt to the wound that I know Packers fans are going to absolutely hate is, let's think about this, folks. Why was the reason that Packers fans used to freaking rub it in our face that, we could never beat the Packers. We could never beat them either at their place or our place. It was because they wanted to talk about how they had these great quarterbacks. And that was the reason that they won, whether it was Brett Favre or it was Aaron Rodgers. Okay, fine. I will admit that having those 2 guys definitely helped you win a lot of games. It's kind of not even a no-brainer because both of those guys are going to be Hall of Fame quarterbacks. One of them already is. But let's think about it, folks. Ever since Rodgers was here, And going in now to the Jordan Love era, it's kind of funny actually. We've beaten Rodgers at Lambeau, just like we've beaten Love at Lambeau twice. And you want to know who's done the beating of said quarterbacks? Oh, that's right, that'd be Jared Goff. The same quarterback that I remember a whole bunch of Packers fans wanted to talk mad smack about when we traded for him, about how, he was just a terrible bridge quarterback and how, you know what, the Lions were fools for trading him, the Lions were fools for keeping him, and then they were fools for freaking extending him. But yet, Jared Goff has beaten freaking you guys at your place not only 3 times in a row, but, just like I said, Jared Goff has got a record of, freaking 6-2, 5-6, something like that over the last, 4 years when it comes to said Packers. But to just keep this in terms of the Lambeau Field nonsense that I've been talking about how we now own Lambeau Field, about how that's now our home away from home, let's think about this, folks. Jared Goff's record at Lambeau since being with the Detroit Lions is obviously 3-1. But over 2022 to now, it's 3-0. Well, what's Jared Goff's stats at Lambeau since 2022? Here are his stats. Jared Goff has completed 71.4% of his passes for almost 600 passing yards, 6.9 an average a throw, 2 touchdowns to 1 interception with a 93.3 passer rating. Okay, I'm going to tell you this right now. Other than the pass completion percentage, it's not exactly the greatest stat line. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not exactly, wow, let's write home about this. But there's a reason why I put such emphasis on Goff's stat line versus what I'm about to do now. Let's think about this. Jared Goff going into Lambeau Field's the away quarterback. Virtually every single time you want to talk about statistics, quarterbacks going away to another person's stadium, they almost always do worse because they're going into a hostile environment. They're going into a place that they're not used to playing at compared to their home turf. This is something that most people talk about because they do it with split stats. To say, how does a quarterback do in comparison to their home turf versus their away turf? And 95% of the time, quarterbacks do typically a hell of a lot better when they're at home versus when they're away. Well, think about it, folks. I just gave you Goff's stats when he's been at Lambeau the last 3 years. So away from Ford Field, away from the Dome. What has been Jordan Love and freaking Aaron Rodgers' stats while at Lambeau Field, at their home turf? Here's what I'm going to show you. Jordan Love at Lambeau Field, the last 2 times we've played him, has been for 61.3 completion percentage rate, 519 yards for 6.9 an average a throw, 1 touchdown to 3 interceptions with a 69.8 passer rating. And Aaron Rodgers has been for 63% for 205 yards, 7.6 an average a throw, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and an 83.1 passer rating. And by the way, for both of those guys, they are 0-3 combined against Jared Goff. So not only are their statistics significantly worse than Jared Goff at their home stadium, but they also have not been able to beat Jared Goff at their home stadium since 2022. Now, obviously, Rodgers is no longer with the Packers. He's with the Jets. But my whole point is this. Jared Goff going into an outdoor stadium where the weather has not exactly been the greatest the last 2 to 3 times we've been there has got better overall statistics than the quarterbacks that are actually of said team in the home stadium that we're playing at. So I got one question for you, Packers fans. Who's your daddy? I would say your daddy now is the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff, because the last 3 years we've gone in there, we've quite frankly spanked your ass. And I know that you Packers fans are going to want to say this, just wait till Thanksgiving, we're going to get you back. Okay, I got my watch over here. I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm counting down the days till we play Thanksgiving, and let's just think about it. We just got Zadarius Smith. We're getting back Ife Melifonwu. We're getting back Emmanuel Mosley. So our defense is getting healthy. We just got JMO back from suspension. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about my chances. How's Jordan Love doing in terms of his groin and, everything else? How is your freaking team doing in terms of health? Because Jair Alexander's also dealing with injury. Yeah. Plus on top of that, you guys just traded away one of your best linebackers in Preston Smith to the Steelers. Just saying. Anyway, folks, I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so, I want to highly encourage y'all, please, make sure you hit that bell notification icon at the bottom of the page so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Also, again, please, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Want to encourage y'all also to share this content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you possibly can. The more we can do so, the greater the channel can grow and spread, and the more we're able to bring in new viewership. And with that being said, whether this is your first time viewing me or you guys have been a long time viewership, I hope you all enjoyed the content and you got something out of it. I hope you all got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.